Some of you look very confused right now. You weren't listening to the speech, were you? This is the steepest pair of narrow gauge train tracks in this entire continent, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, the last car is 25 feet higher than the locomotive. Throughout this whole trip is your 4-engine crew up there. Your engineer, Bill, on the right-hand side, and your fireman, Russ, on the left. They're sitting about 5 feet from a fire that's burning at 2,750 degrees. That's to boil the water in the boiler. That's how that works. Fortunately for them, the boiler itself is only radiating heat at about 500 degrees. And And this, of course, brings the ambient temperature inside the small metal cab of that steam engine up there to a nice comfortable 120 to 150 degrees all day long. So keep that in mind as we're going up this railroad. Your 4-engine crew is literally baking for your entertainment. But don't worry, we wouldn't be here if we didn't want to be. Now you know why I'm a conductor. Relying on fire to keep your species strong when you're a tree can be a little dangerous. You can't really run from the fire when you're a tree unless you're in the Lord of the Rings, so that's the weird stuff I don't really want to get into. Luckily, coastal redwood trees have existed on this weird little blue planet here for over 7 we review this is through their incredibly spongy bark. Not really. Hey, it's that guy with the dog again. Get some out. Alright, we're now passing the Cathedral Grove on the left-hand side. Once again, if you'd like to... While we're up here... Circle of redwood trees is the left-hand side of the train. Right, left next to us. That means that grove is right next to the train tracks. That's how that works. So if you'd like to visit this Cathedral Grove in the woods, all you gotta do is walk down the train tracks behind this train. Once we stop, please. Action is based on gold, and yet they're still horrible. Please remain seated at all times. Same person.
The same person is the dog. He keeps climbing up like that.
I don't think so. Heading back down into the Spring Canyon. Once we're down here, you'll be able to see those old church outside again. And if you're wondering to yourself why we ever rebuilt our trestle, that's a great question. First, I'll tell you, we've always wanted to rebuild our old bridges, and we still want to rebuild them to this day. It's just that back in the day in 1976, they never actually caught who was responsible for lighting these trestles on fire in the first place, and they were scared they were going to come back. Now, the only reasons why we're pretty sure it was arson are pretty simple. Here's reason number one. There were 9 other trestle fires in California that same week that all lined up on a map in a straight line with ours right in the middle. Little too coincidental there. Reason number 2, which makes it much worse, is that those 9 other trestle fires were all located on active logging railroads, which we have never Reason number 3, and the most obvious reason, is all the empty gas cans we found under the trestle after we extinguished the fire. It kind of points at arson. Now, if you ever wanted to see any photographs of what these amazing trestles look like when they're in operation from only 1966 to 1976, you actually can, because we just built a little museum here at Roaring Camp in the back of the general store. In the corner of the museum is a little glass cabinet loaded with photographs of these amazing trestles when they're in service. There's also a whole bunch of other neat stuff in there you should totally check out if you got the spare time, because it's totally worth it. And that's because it's totally free. That's right, free. So get the most bang for your buck if you got some spare time today. Stop by that free little museum in the back of the general store. It's definitely worth it. Right now, most of this train is actually in the middle of the giant loopy-loop above us on the left. If you want to see any photographs of this, I highly suggest stopping by that free little museum in the back of the general store. If you look across the valley on the right, you can actually still see the train tracks over there, because we actually never removed them, because we're actually a little late. Now, way back in 1867, a gentleman asked about the whistle on our steam engine. The whistle is actually older than the locomotive. That whistle is from about 1870. It's a single chime steam whistle. That's why it sounds different than the cartoons and movies. This is how steam engines would have sounded in the late 1800s, before they made multiple chime whistles that were tuned and sounded all pretty. That whistle is coming up pretty soon. Theory, our train should be crossing the sharpest curving passenger carrying trestle in all North America again this time, given all boiled a whole pot of water down to nothing like I did last night attempting to make mac and cheese, but if you've ever done this, you'll find at the bottom of those pots is a whole bunch of random minerals left behind from the water boiling out. All the naturally occurring minerals in that water get left in the bottom of the pot, right? Well, the same thing occurs to a steam locomotive just like that, especially after you boil away 700 gallons of water like we just did going up and down this mountain only once. It leaves a whole bunch of random minerals at the bottom of that locomotive's boiler that really mess it up bad. So to help clean out all those minerals, all steam engines are equipped with a very special valve known as a blowdown valve. It's basically a large hole at the lowest point in that locomotive's boiler. All that center likes to build up. And when our fireman Russ opens up that special valve, it lets a whole bunch of water and steam jet out of the side of the boiler with 200 pounds of pressure behind it, taking all that sediment right out of the boiler with it in a giant cloud of steam like you've all seen a few times on this trip. You ever seen all that steam come out the side? That's what that is. In just a few moments, you're all going to have the opportunity to see it again and maybe even film it if you want. Because we're going to keep rolling forward here a little bit further, then we're going to stop. And then I gotta change the train tracks ahead of us, and then the train's gonna begin to roll. Once the train begins to roll again, that's a lovely cue for all of you to start filming. Because about 40 seconds after we begin to roll, we're gonna cruise right next to a little man-made lake, and if no one's standing there, that's usually where our fireman Russ likes to let that blow down go down. So have your cameras ready when we begin to roll, because you won't want to miss this.